This is what happened to the Raptors. LeBron James happened to the Raptors. And every year, because every time he steps out on the floor, he resets the longevity record. No player in the history of basketball has ever been the best player in the game, having logged as many minutes and miles on his legs as LeBron James has in the NBA. And it's not just that he's the best player in the game by a little bit. He is so much better than everyone else. KD, not in his league. AD, sorry, not yet. None of those guys are near him. He is the best by a country mile. And when it looks like he's slowing down on the defensive end, he can always turn it on somehow when he needs to. Still, he can still get it done. And his supporting cast, which looked like, misfit toys in the first round, the offense, which looked completely discombobulated against the Indiana Pacers, now looks like a well-oiled machine all of a sudden. And part of it, as I mentioned, it's LeBron being LeBron. And part of it is he wasn't playing with an all-star recently until Kevin Love decided to be an all-star again. And that's all LeBron really needs is a crime partner who plays at all-star level. Every player who ever lives needs at least that guy to win in the playoffs consistently. And Kevin Love has, throughout his career, been at least an all-star caliber player, usually when healthy. And he's an all-star caliber player again, especially with a bad left hand. He is really willing himself and showing out in this series. A tremendous player. And why are LeBron's able to do it anyway, but why is LeBron plus Kevin Love able to play this way? The matchup, when you look at Toronto, they don't have enough athletic wings to guard those two guys. They just don't. So you add that all up, and two close games that could have gone either way, which LeBron's team, they always seem to go his way because he is the best, and you get a team in the Raptors who quit. That's what it adds up to. LeBron plus one all-star, versus a team that did not show mental toughness.
Well, first of all, you don't get to be that slick, okay? You're shrewd, you're smooth at times, but you ain't that damn slick, and you ain't gonna get away with that. Don't give us any basketball analysis off of this series. You and I both know what this came down to. It's not just about LeBron in terms of his skill set, his athletic ability, his numbers. It's not just about his supporting cast. It's about the fact that his greatness snatched the heart out of the Toronto Raptors' chest. Sounds very simplistic. The thing is that you don't see it too often. We've seen LeBron James and his greatness in the first series going up against the Indiana Pacers. But what happened? It took a 7-game series. What happened? Victor Oladipo and the crew blew them out in a Game 6 back in Indianapolis. What happened? It came down to the wire in a Game 7. Why? Because you had a team like the Indiana Pacers that's loaded with heart. They just wasn't ready. If you end up going against Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals, because what we anticipate ends up happening with Boston winning tomorrow night. What you're going to see in the Eastern Conference Finals is a team that's exceptionally well coached, but that has a boatload of heart that is not going to literally wilt beneath the pressure of going up against the best player in the world. That's not going to happen. They're going to come at him. They're going to make sure that they force him to contend with them as well. Whether it's going to be successful or not remains to be seen. But those are the kind of things that I'm pointing to, because as I religiously stated, Max, when it comes to the Toronto Raptors, it wasn't about skill. I look at the Toronto Raptors, and I thought that they were a team better collectively. They have been swept by the Cleveland Cavaliers, and I will still tell you they are a better team collectively. What happens is that if you're LeBron James and you're coming at certain dudes, particularly that team, what happens is they shrink beneath it all. They can't take it. They all of a sudden get tight. And the things that they normally do with fluidity, with cohesiveness, and beyond, suddenly they can't do it because they're going up against him. And that is what I was talking about when I talked about the Raptors. If it were anybody else, they would have found a way to win Game 1. If it were anybody else, they would not have been blown out in a Game 4. They would have fought to the end. One could legitimately make the argument that even though DeRozan shouldn't have been thrown out of the game, ejected from the game, he probably did it on purpose because he didn't want any parts of being a part of the game anymore. One could argue that when Dwayne Casey benched him for the final 4 minutes in Game 3, he did it to save him from further embarrassment because he realized that he had shrunk beneath the pressure. Kyle Lowry don't have that problem, and he only scored 5 points in Game 4. but we all know he's not scared of anything, and he's going to show up and perform and do what he needs to do to the best of his ability. He either just has it or he doesn't. But when you're going up against certain competition, Max, and you sit up there, it's that look in their eyes, bro. There's just something about a particular opponent that just does it to certain people. And when it comes to DeMar DeRozan and the Toronto Raptors, LeBron James is that dude against
I would like to
them.
say